So part of the behavioral approach to understanding decision making has to do with the prospect theory. And the prospect theory says this: when people make decisions under risk, right, they're more motivated to avoid losses than they are to seek gains. Most people are pretty happy with the way they are, and they would like to be better off, but if it means risking the way they are, they view that as a really bad choice. So even though the likelihood they're going to do better might be 3 times higher than the likelihood they're going to do worse, they really don't want to do worse, right? So they just avoid the risk. And this is very frustrating to people that are risk takers. They don't understand why their company won't invest X dollars in this new thing because they're pretty sure it's going to work, when in fact somebody at the top who doles out the money doesn't want to have to go tell the board of trustees or whoever that they lost some of the money making a venture that didn't work out. They more dread that than they do explaining why the returns, why the profits didn't go up. Right? They would rather say things are consistently or slowly getting better as opposed to making a big splash. This explains a little bit, by the way, about why companies joined up into the risk avoidance, into the Me Too, as a lot of people call it. People that criticize business say businesses do this. You're sitting there at your company and your competitors do this new process, this new way of working. There's been many new ways for business to try to do better. There was, in the 80s, there was total quality management. In the 90s, there was the whole zero defect thing. Well, that was the 80s also, probably. I still got those backwards. And then there was Six Sigma was huge in the 90s and the 2000s as a better way of working, and there's been other processes of ways to do better. And so companies are continually investigating these. So, and they've been criticized by business critics as the Me Too, going with the flavor of the month, changing these new processes over and over again, sort of flying around looking like they don't know what they're doing. And so the analysis of this is, if you think about it from a manager's point of view. So here I am running my company, and my competitor starts to do this thing. It's called Six Sigma, right? This quality process control thing. Great. So they're going to implement that, and it's going to cost them a lot of money. So now I have a choice. Should I implement it or not? So there's a known cost and a unknown gain. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. So I think about this in my head, right? Because I'm the top guy. I think about the future, not just the now. So let's say the company, so we have 2 choices, right? They're going to do it. Either I do it with them or I don't do it with them, and either it works or it doesn't, right? Those are kind of my probabilities of the future here. So let's say they do it and I do it. I decide to do it too because they're doing it, and it doesn't work. So we've both lost whatever, $1 million implementing this thing, and we're big companies, and it doesn't work. And we only get half our money back, so we lose $500,000 trying to implement this thing, and it sort of fizzles. So we let it fizzle. So what has changed in the marketplace? Nothing. We both wasted $500,000, but nothing has really changed in terms of how we work and how we relate to each other. That's if they do it and I do it and it kind of doesn't work. Now, if they do it and I do it and it works, then we both have an advantage. So again, there's no shift in the marketplace. They get stronger, we get stronger, we both do better. And aren't we smart, because we can brag we did this thing that worked. And we can forget to mention to the board of trustees that we did it because our competitors do it. They may or may not realize that. And so at worst case, we're Me Too. At best case, we look like geniuses by doing this and helping the company become stronger, even though our competitors are also stronger. Okay, that's if we do it and they do it if it works. What happens if they do it and we don't do it? Okay, so if they do it and we don't do it, then we're assuming there's a better than 50-50 chance that it's not going to work. So we're assuming our competitors are wrong. They've looked at it harder than we have, probably because they've implemented it, right? So they probably looked at it and spent more time thinking about it than we did, and they think it's going to work, but it doesn't. So if it doesn't work, suppose it fizzles like before. They invest $1 million and only saves $500,000, so they lose $500,000. So they lose $500,000 and we don't lose anything. Does that really shift things between us? Does that change everybody's position in the market? Does it going to radically affect anything? The answer is probably not. Right? They lose a little bit of money, or what to them is even a significant chunk of change, but still, in the grand scheme of things, they're in business, we're in business, we have the same products. They've wasted some money that they could have spent on something else. Highly unlikely this changes the position between us. Okay, fine. Now, the last choice is they do it, we don't do it, and it works well. So now they have a big advantage, we don't. So they get better, they get stronger, we don't. So not only do they have an advantage in the marketplace, but I got to go tell my managers I sat there and watched them do this, my board of trustees, my bosses, the people giving my stock options, and I got to tell them, yes, we knew they were doing this. Everybody knew they were doing this. They did interviews in the literature of the industry magazine about it and all of that, yet we didn't do it. And now they have this, they're crowing in the news about, look, we have $18 million more in sales, or our costs went down by 6% or whatever, right? And we sat there and watched them do it, didn't do it. That is a conversation I do not want to have with my upper managers or the people that hired me. Right? That's the one I want to avoid. So I can't control whether this thing works or not, right? What can I control? I can control the me too. If they do it, I do it, because that's the less risk, not only for my company, but for me personally as the upper level manager. Right? So my company is safer and I'm safer, because if we both do it, right, if it doesn't work, we both fizzle. But hey, I did the same thing smart people did. We all thought it was going to work. You really can't hold me accountable. Look, our very smart competitive rivals did it also. We all thought it was going to work. It didn't really work so well. Okay. Anybody could have made that mistake, and anybody did. Who made it? Our worthwhile competitors. So I have some very strong logic to back up why I made the decision. Or if it works, now we get to brag about being smart, being efficient, being effective, finding the ways to improve our companies. Look at what genius I am. I think I deserve a raise. Stock options, whatever you got, fellas. So with that view of the world, it's very easy to see why companies are implementing these process improvements all the time. And I read a paper, a number of years ago. The name of it is "What Bandwagons Bring." It's talk about jumping on the bandwagon, and it turns out that CEOs of companies that announce some big initiative, right, Six Sigma, TQM, whatever, they're going to do this whole big thing, and it's always given a clever name, usually a 3-letter acronym. I don't know why, but you have to have a 3-letter acronym, right? And when they do this thing, whether the company makes more money or not, usually the CEO gets rewarded because they're showing good progress. They're being aggressive. They're showing initiative. They're trying to take the company to new levels, and they get rewarded just for the announcement, just for trying. So if you told me I was going to get a big fat 20% bonus for trying this new initiative, whether it worked or not, I got to tell you, I'm all for it, right? That's my answer, particularly when I'm paying for the initiative with the company's money, not my own. So that's kind of a look at prospect theory. And so when you're at work and you keep getting bombarded with every year there's a new big process rollout that's going to make you, total customer delight or whatever it is, right? And you can think of this, right? You can think why they're doing it. Why are they doing it? Because the upper management, first of all, they want to look good to their bosses, and second of all, they don't want to lose market share. If this thing really works at your competitors, right, we don't want them to get away from us. We don't want the balance of power to shift too much where we can't handle them, because then really bad things are going to happen. So when you look at it from that point of view, right, it's probably the right thing to do.